Welcome to the Heart-Centered Sales Leader podcast on webtalkradio.net. I'm your heart-centered sales leader and, of course, host Connie Whitman. So every week as you listen to the show, I hope, number one, you feel my passion for this topic. I really want to change your perspective on that word sales, of something that's icky, sleazy, and pushy to something that comes from sales, care, and love. We're going to talk about that in every episode. So I really want you to be successful with your sales, building your client relationship, scaling your business, whatever it is. And ultimately, I hope I could play a small part in creating the change you're looking for in your life overall. Now, if you're loving the show, and of course, I hope you're loving me, please subscribe to the show either on Apple Podcast or YouTube, wherever you listen or watch. Rate, review, subscribe, and download. And of course, share with your peeps. I love sharing the love with your folks as well. You matter to me. Your comments matter to me. I actually read them and I will respond. So you stay in touch. I'm always looking for your insight and input and recommendations as well to make my show even better. So my motivational quote today is by Miranda Katz, and she says, "People are really listening and want to consume all the content that is there and available. There's a level of dedication that comes from podcast listeners that you don't otherwise find. And now the numbers prove it. Podcasts aren't a bubble, they're a boom, and that boom is only getting louder." So do you know what to look for or for within from your business financials? You need to pay close attention to all of the numbers, but I have an amazing guest today, and we're going to talk about marketing and how to use podcasting perhaps as the marketing tool that you've been missing. So my guest today, he's amazing. He's an expert, and just listen to the voice, people. That's all I'm saying. My guest today is Adam Schaeuble, and Adam is a full-time podcaster, podcasting business coach, and the best of the top-ranked podcast. The name of the podcast is Podcasting Business School. Adam's goal is to teach his students how they can love their show like a hobby, but build it like a business. So please help me welcome my amazing, I'm telling you, the brother from another mother, Adam Schaeuble, to the show. So Adam, thanks for being on.
Hey, Connie, how you doing?
Okay, guys, did I lie with the voice, right?
I felt like that was a very East Coast way to how you doing, Connie? How you doing?
Yeah, of course, from Friends, right? How you doing?
How you doing?
You're so funny. So he is truly a guest expert. I was on his show and he did a podcast. What do you call it? Podcast audit.
Audit, yep.
Where you gave me some amazing tips, and I'm actually incorporating them into this show. So trust me when I tell you, he is amazing. He's an expert. And this is the way I think businesses need to start marketing in the new world we're in, for sure. So first question, Adam.
All right.
How to initiate engagement with your audience? Because I think people think podcast, I can't do that.
Well, I love this question. I love talking about initiating engagement because a lot of people podcasters, especially, that's kind of my realm. They'll come back to me like, "Yo, Adam, I'm not seeing any engagement." And I go, "Well, how are you initiating engagement?" They're like, "Well, I put up a post on social media and no one comments." And I'm like, to me, that's like advertising. That's marketing. That's not initiating engagement. That's not initiating conversation. So like one of my favorite ways to initiate engagement with my ideal podcast listeners is I catch them off guard. People follow me on Instagram and I will reach out to them. I will initiate the conversation. I'll send them a voice message that says, "Hey, Connie, I just noticed you followed my account here on Instagram. I just wanted to say thank you. I hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. If there's any questions you have about podcasting or anything at all, I'd love for you to just fire away. I'm here to interact. I'm not a bot. I'm a real person, and I'd love to connect." Boom. And that takes me 20 seconds. And I'll do that, and I'll create little super fans at 20-second segments. I'll drop links to my episodes. Like, here's the latest episode. I'd love for you to check it out. Or here's the link to my podcast. I'd love a rating and review. Just like little asks like that. And I initiate the conversation. Another way is I kind of go fishing in Facebook groups where I know my people hang out. So I'm a huge fan of Amy Porterfield. I'm in her Facebook community because it's giant. It's super engaged. And I know a lot of podcasters hang out in there. I know a lot of marketers hang out in there, and those are the people that I want to talk with. So if I see that somebody's asking a question about podcasting, I'm jumping in there as the resident podcast expert, and I'm initiating engagement. Like, oh, I put an episode out about this on my show, Podcasting Business School. Kick me a DM. I'd love to connect, and I can teach you all about this. And like little conversation starters. So that's initiating engagement. And then, I would much rather spend that kind of time creating 1,000 super fans than like spraying and pray marketing with like, and then I did this Facebook post, and then I just put my podcast out there and I hope for results. Like, that's okay. But going next level and initiating engagement, that catches people off guard in the age of everybody wants to scale. Everybody wants to use bots. Everybody wants to use tech, and you doing ground and pound, it makes a big difference.
Everything you're saying for me, in sales, it's all about the relationship. And yes, we need to be on social media. Yes, we need to have these posts and all of those things, but it's about engagement and really zeroing in and having a conversation with that next person that's going to be a podcast listener. Ultimately, though, Adam, they might end up hiring you to teach them how to build their podcast, right? So we're always building the relationship so that ultimately we can sell to them or have them as a new client. And to me, selling is, and I know you're wonderful. You did the podcast audit for me and you gave me so much information and it didn't cost me anything. It was, you weren't, I'm sure you were looking for me to hire you too at some point, but it's about starting to build that relationship. So you build the trust and then they think, oh, this dude actually knows what the hell he's doing. Let me hire him to help me with the marketing. And I just do want to comment. So I met Adam. It was a weekend retreat with Michael Neely, who is now my business coach. And poor Adam, I kept getting stuck in the breakout room with Adam. And we formed a really nice relationship. We connected. And when we got back into the main room, we were talking about the podcast and how many reviews and ratings you had. Now I've been doing the show, right, Adam, for 7 years. And I had 5 ratings and review. 3 were for my husband and my 2 kids. So how sad was I? I had this great podcast. I have a good following, and I never did like Adam just said, the easy ask of, hey, rate, review me, right? So it's the little things that add up to make the big difference, right, Adam?
Yeah. And like, let's just talk about how to get a whole bunch of rating and reviews right now. Like, this is the tip for any podcasters listening out there and for Connie. So whatever your social media platform is where you're most active, maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Instagram. For me, it's the Instagram thing. You do the reach out technique, and I try to add value twice, and then I'll ask them, then I'll give them a review. So, or at least maybe not a double value add, but it's like I post something, they post back, I post something, they post back, I'll put an ask out there. So for example, I'll do the voice memo. Hey, it's Adam. The thing I just showed you. They'll reply back, oh, this is awesome. I'm so excited to be here. I'll go, hey, let me know if you have any questions about this or that or the other. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm a podcaster and I usually struggle with this. Cool. Well, here's an answer. And by the way, if you get a chance, I'd love for you to drop a rating and review for me. Here's the link. It'd take you 5 seconds and it helps me out so much. It's like putting a tip in my tip jar. So that little back and forth ask. And it's not like I'm asking them to be my client. I'm just asking them to drop a rating and review because they're already listening to the show at that point usually. Yeah. And it's super easy. And that's how I get all those rating and reviews. It's just a nice, simple ask.
And it's so funny because, we giggled at that event because I said, I'm sales and I could sell so well. Why didn't I even think to ask for a simple rating and a review? Because I'm not a podcast expert. I never had an Adam in my life to teach me how to podcast properly. So from a marketing standpoint, it's a wonderful tool, right, Adam? I mean, I really believe that. I have a lot of people who follow me and hire me because of the podcast, but there's a way that we can leverage it, just like some of the examples that Adam just shared. Why should my gym become a solopreneur and a full-time podcast? Like, why would I do that? What's the connection?
Well, that's how I got started. So I am what I now call myself a recovering gym owner. And so that's like the exact path that I took. I was a gym owner and I was looking for an opportunity to level up and reach more people. Because if you have a locally owned business And like, there's an opportunity to grow within the community and be a resident local expert, which is good. But also you can expand your reach to it's called the entire world, and create online business opportunities. So that's what I saw when I was a gym owner. And eventually I grew out of that. And at the end of 2019, pre-pandemic, I actually sold my gym and I went full-time into podcasting. So that was good timing, pre-pandemic, selling the gym. I was due for a little bit of good luck. But no, like if you're a business owner, you want to start a podcast for those two factors. Like it really levels you up, because nobody else in my town had a nationally ranked podcast that was ranked ahead of the CrossFit podcast, ahead of Dr. Deepak Chopra, ranked ahead of all these other like big name people, you know, getting more downloads than Dr. Oz and all this stuff. And it's like, so who do you want to go to for your boot camp class? That guy or Joe Schmo that just got out of college, you know? So it helped me level up locally, but also then it expanded my opportunities internationally, where I was able to take clients and sell courses and, you know, from anywhere I wanted. And eventually as a dad and as somebody that kind of lives more of a minimalist mindset and lifestyle, I was like, I can spend a whole lot of hours in here at the gym and do well. Or I can leverage technology, leverage this industry, really spend less time working, more time as a dad, more time as a husband and as a friend. And really, I was like, what if I could sit all day, create amazing things and have amazing conversations with amazing people, and that was my job? Why wouldn't I do that? That's why I went into podcasting.
Wow, what a story. First of all, guts, that's guts and grits in my opinion, to take that kind of leap of faith where it's something traditional like owning a gym or owning a business to go into podcasting, which is still, it's getting bigger and bigger every day. Why podcasting? Like, what was the catalyst for you to say, yeah, I think I need to do this?
Well, for me, there's a voice factor. You've talked about, I've got a unique voice, which, so a funny story about the voice is like, I've had this voice since I was 12 years old, legitimately. So my dad,
that must've been weird.
Yes. And it created weird situations because my dad has the same voice, and he's a great big 6'7", like Viking guy, like I am, you know, like we're both big, great big human beings. And, so my dad's a pharmacist. And he comes from the age of pharmacists where like the pharmacist was like your doctor, like you had their contact information. They had our home phone number, like his people, you know, that were his clientele.
Clients, yeah.
Yeah. So they would call our house all the time, wanting to like renew prescriptions and stuff. I answer the phone. They think it's my dad. So they just start talking about how they need to renew their Viagra prescription or whatever. And I'm like, sorry, this is Adam. I'm in 6th grade. Sorry, this is Adam. I'm in 6th grade. Like, shut up, Mike. We know it's you. Because my dad is like me. We like to play jokes and stuff. So they are convinced it's my dad playing a joke on them. And I'm just like, sorry. And eventually I just have to hang up. I'm like, I hope this doesn't hurt dad's business. I'm not talking to these people anymore. But anyway.
Wig you out.
So the voice, I knew I had a unique voice that would stand out. That's always kind of popped up. Like they made me lip sync in 7th grade choir because it just sounded weird to have this voice coming out with all these other ones that haven't gone through puberty yet. So anyway, so that was a factor, but I also knew, like, I tried blogging. Like I enjoy writing, but it just takes too much time for me. I'm like, and I don't like to sit down and read blogs. I started listening to podcasts. I'm like, I got the voice thing. I've got the energy. I know I've got plenty to say. It seems time effective. Like I can record it and get it out. I'm not super picky on my editing and like having a $5,000 microphone or anything like that. I'm like, I can do this quickly, efficiently. I can get it out there. People can consume it on their own schedule while they're doing dishes, while they're working out, while they're walking the dog. They don't have to be in front of a TV or a computer screen to read it or view it. And it can be listened to in 1.5 speed. So I was like, I love the efficiency of it. I love the ability for me to deliver a unique message, and my energy and my voice can come through effectively. So that's why I went with it. And I knew that I felt very confident. You know, if I was going to start a YouTube page or something like that, there's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of editing, there's a lot of just back end hassle that I was like, this is going to give me anxiety. So it's like podcasting. That's my lane. I'm going to try to really pursue.
Dude, podcasting was made for you. It's really kind of spooky, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really my jam, and I
It
really get
is.
along well with other podcasters. And, I've got my whole community, like all the pod pals and all my pod pals out there. Like
I'm a pod pal.
Connie definitely is a pod pal, ladies and gents.
I'm a groupie. I love it.
And I'm okay with that. I appreciate that.
I know. And Adam has introduced me to some people who've been on my show too. And it's just the podcast family. That's the other thing, Adam. And I know you feel this way. Just such amazing, awesome people that don't have egos, which I mean, we all have egos to some extent, but like, I'm a goofball, you're a goofball. Like, you like joking around. It's not about that egotistical, look at me, I'm a podcaster who's got, 9 bazillion downloads. Like, everybody is so down to earth and friendly and loving. And it's a wonderful family. I just love all the podcasters that I've met, I've met through you, Michael, and everything. Yeah.
Well,
so go ahead.
There's a great example. There was just me and Michael. Like, people could look at it and go, oh, they're competitors, right? Like their show, he's got PodQuest, I've got Podcasting Business School. He does a lot of things, not a lot. There's a little bit of stream crossing, a minor amount. But when you look into it, you go, Michael helps people create and launch shows. That is something I do zero of. I won't touch that. Like, I won't help anybody launch a new show. I don't want to tell you what microphone to use. None of that. Like, I'm very focused on business. I'm very focused on helping people double their downloads. Like, that's like, if somebody wants to create a 6-figure business out of their show, I'm zoned in on that. If they want to double their downloads, I'm zoned in on that. Those are my 2 lanes that I really focus on. Yeah. And we refer back and forth. We network together. We do promo together. We're on each other's shows, and it's like, there's plenty to go around. We share clients, like we have people that we use, both of us, and it's just really friendly. We refer each other to other people. Like, he is an amazing resource. He's doing another episode of my show coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm just like geeking out over the value that he delivered. And he's a great friend. And it's honestly a breath of fresh air coming from the fitness industry, where it is very competitive, very cutthroat, very me versus you, ego driven. Like, I'm the best gym in town and all the other people suck and they don't know what they're talking about, to this space where it's like, my potential perceived competitor, like Michael, is referring business in my direction. I'm referring business in his direction. And it's like, mind blown. This is awesome.
And that's, and podcasting, all of my business folks out there, if you haven't thought about it, like, really, you need to think about it. And it is easier than I think most people think, right, Adam, too, to get it up, going and started. And then of course, like you have all of these wonderful strategies, but it's easier than people think, right?
Oh yeah. So let's just talk cost. All right.
Yeah.
Cost, because that's what I'll be. Oh, it's going to be, Joe Rogan has his own studio. How much does that cost? $multi-million. It's like, no, I'm in my basement. I call it my podcast bunker, not my parents' basement, my own basement. That's important distinction. But you could do this if you live in your parents' basement. You could do this, like, like Wayne's World or whatever, whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. I've got a 2008 MacBook Air that I do everything on. The keys are worn off. You can't see like the main keys I use a lot, like all the vowels, they're just gone. I touch type, so that's okay. But my kids have no idea what's going on with that. I've got a $75 ATR 2100 microphone that I've recorded over 500 episodes on. I do all my episodes on the GarageBand technology that came with my 2008 MacBook Air.
Really?
I record on Zoom, which costs like $9 a month.
Yeah.
I mean, and I host in Libsyn, and that's $25, $30 a month. Done. We've got a business.
And I love how you say it's a hobby that can turn into a business, and you have courses that you've created, right? And different coaching and things like that as well. So like you said before, that you're very active on Instagram. My peeps are really on LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
So how are you selling your services though? Like, you did the little video, the little audio recording. Hey, check me out. Here's an episode. That's how you get the ratings and the downloads and the subscribers, which is great. But I know the businesses are thinking, how are you making money, dude? Like, where's that coming from?
Yeah. So my technique is making friends, and I got to pull people into my inner circle. And like, you felt this a lot, Connie. Like, I'm always inviting people to come and do things, come and hang out, come and party, come and do a thing. Let's do a chat. Let's do a podcast episode. I'm always looking to create stepping stones, not necessarily to make a sale. The sales will come naturally for me.
Yep, agree.
But I just continue to add value. So I host, if you want to talk lead magnets, my number one lead magnet right now is what I refer to as my Pod Pal Zoom party. Every other week, I get together my ideal audience, AKA my ideal potential clients, for a Zoom meeting, but I don't call it a meeting. People, that's probably the wrong marketing term we want to be using right now, because people are sitting in super boring Zoom meetings all day at work. So I call it a Pod Pal Zoom party, and we, pull people in. I've got podcasters from all over the world. Usually it's multiple time zones, multiple continents that are being represented. And these are ideal listeners. These are ideal super fan potential people, and they're ideal customers. And I add value. I usually teach, and then we network. We show swap with interview trades and all this stuff. And like I did a little teaching session on Instagram Reels the other day. I've done one on paid advertising techniques. And then we just network, and everybody gets to talk. Everybody gets to share. And that's my main lead magnet. Like, you have to give me your email address to get invited to that. And then they're in my email list, which I nurture every single week, and I'm adding value there. So people pop in there, and that's one kind of like little stepping stone of getting closer into my world and me learning more about them and me adding value. So they've seen me kind of be a coach. Usually at that point, they're already listening to the podcast twice a week. So that's kind of going through. And then I'll hit them up and be like, yo, we haven't done a 15-minute one-on-one yet. Let's do that so we get some personal time together. Or I'll invite them in for a podcast audit session like I did with you, Connie, where we actually do an interview for the show and I learn more about your show. So one of those two things, that's another touch point. Then it may be like, yo, I'm going to do some Instagram live in a couple of weeks. I need somebody to talk to. You want to pop on there? And we're popping on there and we're talking, business and strategies. So there's like 3 or 4 stones that have been like placed down. They're getting closer and closer into my world. They see me add value at every step. And when the opportunity arises, like I'm getting ready to launch a new membership called the Download Growth Club, how to double your downloads. And like, that's what it's super focused in. And now I'm kind of circling back around. I'm just letting people know, hey, you're somebody I've really enjoyed, connecting with in the past. I'm doing this thing. I'm in launch mode. If you could help me promote it, that'd be great. If you want to join it, even better. Here it is. And it's like, it's a simple, just circle back around ask. I haven't even launched the thing yet. And I've got like the first phase of membership slots filled. People are going, I want the link because I want the cheapest price. Okay, cool. And I had someone the other day, it was like the 3rd time we'd been on a Zoom chat together. And she literally goes, Adam, I need you to send me an email. I need you to list every single thing you offer with all of the links. And she's like, I need to start paying you for things. And I was like, aww, cool. That was an easy sales technique. Just make friends. So, but then on the back end, I have memberships. I've got coaching programs. I have high ticket, $10K per year coaching programs. I have $200 coaching programs. I've got, membership things, options at all levels. I build courses for people. I build the platforms for people. I can do all that. But I'm not on my podcast going, and here's the thing that you can buy from me today. And here's the next thing. I sell, when I market on my show, it's 75% lead magnet, free value ads, 25% sales. So I go on a 4-week rotation. The first 3 weeks of the month, it's all lead magnet, value add, do this, do this, do this. It's all free. Come into my world. The 4th week, I'll say, here's an offer I have for you. And that's the strategy, and it works. And this is how I pay every single one of my bills.
And it's funny with that, Adam, and that to me, just what you described is sales. Because you come from a place of service and help and share and friendship, you actually care about the people that are in your orbit, right? All the pod pals and all of the things, all the platforms that you share, and you get business from it because they trust you. It's the like trust factor, right? Because you're building that. So when they're ready to do their podcast, up their game on the podcast, you become what I call top of mind, because you've been there every step of the way, getting to know me, understanding me. I like you. I like your voice, right? Whatever it is, that we're building this amazing friendship. And then that's how business is done. So guys, Adam just threw out like, I think 20 different ideas of how to leverage a podcast to create your business, get the sales done. And none of it was icky or sleazy or pushy. It was absolutely the obvious. It was, how can I help you? How can I serve you? Hey man, this is what I'm doing. If that works for you, let's connect. Let's do it. Let's partner up and make some magic. So when the timing's right, people will buy from you. And that's the objective of sales, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And Like, let's drop another little value bomb here, Connie, and talk about using a podcast to get through all the gatekeepers or people that you ideally would want to talk to. Like,
Yes.
no one ever, in my opinion, has turned me down for a podcast interview. Like, do you want to come on my show? Like, I can get about anybody that I want, but really you want to think like, okay, good example. My friend, Tom Singer, he speaks at corporate level events, and he's like a presenter, a master of ceremony. That's the word I'm looking for. Master of ceremony. He leads discussions. So he gets hired by companies. He's got a podcast called Making Waves at C-Level. He only interviews C-level executives who are the decision makers who would be hiring him for their company. Okay. So do you think any of them turn down the opportunity to market what they've got going on his show? No, they all come on. He makes friends. He's top of mind for them. And guess who they ask to be their master of ceremony, virtually or live? Tom Singer. The dude kills it, multi six figure. And it's just like, it's easy. And he's just doing what he loves to do. So think about that. If you have a podcast and you can talk to your ideal potential clients at will, like I've got a show talking about podcasting business. I'm going to be launching a new show in January called Let's Talk About Your Podcast. Guess who I'm talking to? Podcasters. Guess who my potential clients are? Always podcasters. So like, it's just me interviewing podcasters, as many as I possibly can, and making friends. And am I just loading the funnel of potential clients? Yeah, I am.
And, it's just, Adam, freaking mind blowing, because it truly is as simple as that, which is the coolest thing. I'll share a story. So I don't know if you've read the book, Atomic Habits.
Oh, yeah. James Clear.
James Clear. So a friend of mine, I had no idea who he was. She had been following him. He was a blogger, right? With tremendous information. She had a huge crush on him, sends me, he needs to be on your show. I'm like, all right, I don't know who this guy is, but all right. So I did a little research on him. So I, get to know who he is. And he had an application when he launched Atomic Habits, and you had to have 10,000 downloads a week or some ridiculous amount on your podcast. I'm thinking, well, I don't have nearly that, but what the hell? I'm going to give it a shot. So I sent him, I filled out the application, and where it said how many, downloads you have, I said, hey, listen, James, I'm not nearly in that league, but I have a really good LinkedIn following, and I think people trust me. And I just think you'd be such an awesome, guest on my show. If you're interested, I'm here, no pressure. Bam, 5 minutes later, I'd love to be on your podcast. So I told my friend, she's like, oh my God, I'm thinking, who is this dude? I don't know half the people, right? So he's intense. He's an intense dude. Yeah. And so in the intro, he's worked with the MLB, the NHL, not the NFL, and a couple of others. Well, my kids played hockey. They've been playing hockey since they're 3 years old, right? My husband was Canadian. And so I said, as I'm doing my intro, I'm like, yeah, he works for the MLB, the NFL. And I'm like, notice I didn't say NHL. James and I are going to talk about that. Totally, because I'm a smart ass, right? Joking around. So we get on, and I go, so my first question, why not the NHL? He's intense. He cracks up and he goes, they haven't asked me. I go, we need to work on that. And then we went into our interview. My friend's like, you're out of your mind.
Oh my God.
I'm like, he's the nicest guy, but people are afraid to try. If I didn't ask him, he would have been on my show. He could have easily had put me on ignore, Adam, and never came on the show, but I wouldn't have been any worse for wear, right?
Yep. Yeah.
You gotta be in the game.
I've got people on my wall of fame behind me, like Gretchen Rubin. She's one of my favorite authors. Michael Hyatt, just giant personal growth guru. Fabio Viviani was on, Top Chef America, the chef heartthrob that beat Bobby Flay on Beat Bobby Flay. And all these people that I've been introduced to that I never would have been able to talk to because of podcasting. So that's another thing. Not only am I talking to my ideal clients all the time, I have these conversations and I have access to these people that I'm a member of the media. That's how every podcaster should be thinking about themselves.
Yes.
They're a member of the media. We have access to these higher level media type people. And we should never, Connie, ever pay for tickets to live events anymore because we are members of the media. We get access to those things. We are there for special reporting. We are there for any conventions, marketing things. We should be getting free access to all of that. And so there's always a press button on any marketing page for an event. Let's say paleo FX is a big one for nutrition. And there's a press button. You fill that out and go, yeah, I'm the host of the Million Pound Mission podcast. And I've been podcasting. I've got 375 episodes, been 4 years. Here's a list of the people I've interviewed. I'd love to come to your event and report on it and do an episode to kind of do feedback. And they go, yeah, here's your press pass. I know people that have gone to the Cannes Film Festival for free because they are media members, and it is not that hard to get a press pass.
And then you just do a little show or you do a little sound bite within the show about the event. Is that, wow, that is 100%. So cool.
And you may be walking out of the microphone ready to go in case some, The Rock walks by and you want to interview him real quick or something. Like you got these people that are walking by, or I just got one of my clients into, the next time they do Comic-Con, I got a connection, and they're going to have like backstage access to all these, like the people from The Walking Dead and like all this stuff. So and that's just because they podcast, and that's awesome.
I love The Walking Dead. I love, what's his name? Does The Talking Dead.
Chris
Hardwick. Yeah. I love him. He talks fast. He's my kind of guy. Yeah. He's our kind of people, right?
Yeah. So who's your character in Walking Dead, real quick? Like, who's your character that, like, I was a big Rick Grimes guy, and I'm glad that he's kind of living on.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Negan. I like.
I'm a Negan fan too.
I love Negan. I love him. I love, what's his name?
The actor is amazing.
He's freaking amazing. You know who else? A friend of mine. She's been on the show. Wrote a book and tremendous philanthropic. I just love her. Her son is Dwight. Now he did the crossover to Fear of the Walking Dead. And I love Dwight's character. The arc of his story is just...
That's her son?
That's her son.
No way.
Yes.
That's an awesome connection.
Yeah. Wow. He, I think, is so cool because how his story has evolved, how Negan's story has evolved too.
Yeah.
They're both phenomenal actors. He's got the mushed up face. Yeah.
Yep.
I think we have to go to Comic-Con, Adam.
Yes. If I had hair, I'd do the Negan thing, but
we are such dorks. I love it. Last question, because we're almost out of time. Biggest podcast monetization mindset mistake that you see?
Oh, that's easy. Everybody thinks they got to have sponsors. They think that's how you make money, is sponsors. They see Tim Ferriss, they see Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, they're always there talking about mattresses and underwear, and those companies are paying them $50,000 an episode. So Mr. Joe Schmo podcaster goes, I'm going to launch my show and it's going to be called The Marketing Guru Show. And then I'm going to be paid by mattress companies and underwear companies, $50,000 an episode. And gee whiz, Adam, I've done 3 episodes already and no mattress companies or underwear companies has called me. What the heck's going on here, buddy? I should probably just quit. And they think that's how you make money. And if you're famous, if you're Will Ferrell, Ron Burgundy, you can do a Ron Burgundy podcast and you're going to make $1 million in ads easy because you've got a giant following and you have this face you can put on your promo image, and that just sells it for you. People want to listen in. That's what I did. But for people like me, nobody knows who Adam Schaeuble is when I first start podcasting. I've got to build the legend. So I monetize through growing my audience. You build the Death Star, and then you can point that thing at whatever you want, whether it's like my Download Growth Club, whether it's my coaching, whether it's my health stuff and my health brand. So you have to monetize through selling your own stuff. You need big download numbers for the most part for sponsorships. Now, if you're the alternative, fact of that is if you have a very niched down show, very pinpoint specific, let me try to think of something. I've got somebody that I know that does a podcast about having multiples, like triplets. And so that's very moms. I think it's called Moms of Multiples. I think that's what it's called. So it's, twins, triplets or more. And she's got a show just about that. So people like Pampers, people like Gerber, they're going to be more inclined to get involved with her with lower sponsorship levels. Because if they're it's, only moms of multiples, and multiples are going through a lot of food and a lot of diapers.
Yeah.
So you get 50 of those, it's worth a $500 sponsorship because they're going to be spending thousands of dollars on your product.
Wow.
So if you're very much into sponsors, I think people should be niching down anyway. I feel like you should go down as deep as you can into a niche just because it's going to make you stand out. Like you can't have the business person show. It needs to be like the marketing for butcher shops show or something like that, like something that's like real niche down. And there's still thousands, if not millions of these people that could potentially listen. And you're just making it easier for them to find you by having a very specific podcast name.
Yeah, and my show, Enlightenment of Change, when we met, you're like, yeah, it's that you need to change that. And I was like, to what? Right? I panicked. And you were like, you need to do sales leader, you need to do something with sales. And then with Michael going back and forth, it was like labor. I felt like I delivered a baby to come up with the name, of the heart-centered sales, heart-centered sales leader. And I'm going to try to keep niching that down as I go through. And Michael keeps telling me we could change the name anytime. Don't worry about that. So that's the other thing too. We're out of time, Adam, but don't worry. Like I've really learned that over the 7 years. I've learned what I didn't know. So I had a million blind spots, and then meeting you and Michael and so many amazing people. But don't worry, don't panic, just start, right? Just rip the Band-Aid off. Adam just said it's not a ton of money. Like my microphone was, a couple $100. I use my Mac, exactly what you said. I have the little light up there so that it, it shines properly on my face. All of this stuff, it's a couple $100. It's not a ton of money. So yeah, guys, if you need to get more Adam in your life, more Schaeuble in your life, which I always do. I love hanging out with Adam. His website is, and I will put this on the show notes, of course, but it's podcastingbusiness.school, not .com. So podcastingbusiness.school. And if you want to follow him on Instagram and Facebook and get his voice message to you, I highly recommend going to @podcastingbusiness school, and you'll find Adam on the other end of that. So Adam, I love you. Thank you for being on. Thank you for a fun show. And my head's ready to explode with all of the things that you just said today. And I really hope people who are looking to up their game, just do better in 2021 with their business. I really think podcasting is the way to go. And it's fun, man. It's fun to do, right? This isn't work.
This is play. And like I said, it can feel like a hobby and you can build it like a business. Same thing. But
I love
Connie,
it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that's listening in. And if you got any value out of this, people that are listening out there in the podcast universe, the best way you can put a tip in our tip jar today is go and leave a rating and review for Connie. Make sure you mention my name specifically as the best episode she's ever put out with the best voice. Just saying. But put that out there. That's a great way to put a tip in Connie's tip jar today, and she will appreciate that very much. And so will I.
I love you for that. Michael's going to get jealous because he was on my show too, and he didn't say the tip of the tip jar. So
mention me, not Michael. We're rivals.
The competition is on. I love competition. You crack me up. Thank you. And guys, if you need a little more Connie in your life, which of course I hope you always do, my website is everything you could want. The podcast, both my podcasts are on there. My classes, my book, my international best-selling book, Adam, anything you need Connie related. If you want to be a guest on my show, the application's there. And of course, if you want to contact me directly, whitmanassociates.com. I will post that on the show notes as well. Love to hear from you guys. And again, put a tip in my tip jar. I'm going to start using that, Adam. I love it. You kill me. And you guys, I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together how heart-centered sales actually is easier than you think. And I'm telling you, man, I am on a mission. We're not going to be icky, sleazy, pushy. We're turning into the love, care, and respect way of selling. Thank you again, Adam. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for tuning into the Heart-Centered Sales Leader podcast with me, your amazing heart-centered sales leader and host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone, and open your minds to the client relationship that are possible as you become that heart-centered sales leader that you're destined to be. And I'm excited and honored to have you every week on this journey with me. And I'll see you guys next week. And Adam, thank you again for being on. Awesome show. Mwah. Love you guys.